I'd throw away the key. That's what the mother of Dawn Ashworth says should happen to her killer, Colin Pitchfork.
Pitchfork is serving a life sentence for raping and killing her and another 15-year-old Linda Mann. The big question we're asking today, can people be rehabilitated and given a second chance? Can they? Can people like this child killer ever be rehabilitated, or should we essentially throw away the key?
Well, delighted to say that joining us now is GB News presenter Patrick Christys and ex-offender turned social entrepreneur Mark Johnson. Mark, we'll start with you. Can people be rehabilitated, particularly of the most heinous crimes?
Mark, are you there? Let's turn to Patrick while we wait for Mark's line to resurface. Patrick, you'd take a hard line when it comes to this type of crime. A killer, child killer, should remain in prison for life.
Yeah, that's my view. I mean, we have to have a look at what we're not going to do to them, OK? We're not going to make them go and live on an island with other vile monsters like themselves. We're not going to execute them, unfortunately, in my view. We're not going to chuck them down a pit and toss them a bread roll and a bit of water once or twice a week while their victims scream blare out at them on a loop. So the least we can do is keep these people in prison. And there is a mountain of evidence to suggest that these people cannot be rehabilitated. Look at one of the Bulger killers, for example. Look, of course, at what actually happened with Colin Pitchfork, where he was released and then he was recalled almost immediately for approaching young people in a park. We can also have a look at Adz Khan. So he was not a child killer, but he was a terrorist. He went on to actually kill a couple of his caseworkers, for goodness sake, in the Fishmongers Hall attack. There are certain things that I don't think can actually lead to rehabilitation. Radical jihadi terrorism, sex offences against children, and in this case as well, of course, murder. And I just wonder, why on earth would we want to take the risk? And I would ask Adz, if we did manage to get him as well, would he be comfortable with Colin Pitchfork moving in next to him, and if he's got daughters, etc.? If the answer to that is no, then why would he be happy for anybody else to take the chance?
Well, let's turn now to Adz Khan. And Adz, what do you make of that? I'm afraid we're struggling to get the line established there. But, Patrick, you raise a pretty forthright point there, as I suppose GB News viewers would come to expect from you. What do you say to people who would say the whole point of prison is to rehabilitate people? Can you possibly give up on people who might have taken a wrong turn in life? Can't people turn their lives around?
Raping and killing 2 children is not a wrong turn in life. You don't really come back from that, in my view, Tom. And people say as well, oh, well, it costs a load of money to keep them inside. Well, it costs a load of money to look after them on the outside as well, because they'll never work again. You have to monitor them 24/7. You have to give them a new identity, as has happened with the Bulger killers, for example. Why on earth should the taxpayers be made to pay for that? And why are we in this country so keen on putting criminals' rights first before the victims' rights? I had a very, very interesting conversation with Emma Webber, who is the mother of Barnaby Webber, who was sadly killed by that Nottingham rampage killer, Valdo Calicone. And she said that at every single turn, the rights of the actual killer there have been put ahead of the family's rights and the victims' rights. So in this particular situation, surely we have to look at the remaining relatives of those who have actually been killed and say, what do they want to do? Do they really want to see this guy have any kind of normality so he can kick back, go to a pub at the weekend and watch the football with whatever mates are deluded enough to hang out with him? No, absolutely not. Like I've said, if we're not going to execute them, then the least we can do is keep them in solitary confinement for the rest of their lives.
Well, there we go. Strong stuff, Patrick. Adz Khan, Adz, in your view, are we focusing not enough on the rehabilitation element of going to prison? Can people reform?
People can reform, but just like Patrick said, when it comes to something as serious as I think everybody can make mistakes and does make mistakes in life, but is it a mistake killing 2 innocent 15-year-old girls and raping them? Does that come down to evilness, or does that come down to some mental condition that we don't have the solution for? So based on that, I do 100% believe in reform and rehabilitation, but I think there's levels of it, and obviously I don't think everybody can be reformed and rehabilitated, especially given the circumstances of that case in particular.
That's an interesting point of view. Do you think that prison as an institution, therefore, is primarily about rehabilitation or primarily about punishment?
To be honest with you, I think it has to be a little bit of both, but rehabilitation, it has to be about punishment, and it also has to be about reform and rehabilitation. And that's something that obviously I actually go into prisons. I've got go into prisons and speak about how you can rehabilitate yourself and how you can change yourself and how you deal with setbacks and how you make comebacks. and obviously, being more sort of a positive mindset focus. So that's what I actually do in prisons, and I do believe in reform and rehabilitation. But something struck me, and that is that 57% of the adult prison population have literacy levels below that of an 11-year-old. And that statistic becomes more than just a number when you're holding letters from people that are actually expressing their gratitude and hope after I've delivered some of my presentations. You see, so I think if we focus on, it's like a house, if the foundation's weak and you've got to build on it, it's going to fall down. So if we focus on ground zero and build up these educational tools, then I'm hoping that with dedication and help, that we can actually move forward in a society that's a lot better.
Patrick, last word to you.
I mean, there is one way around all of this, of course, and that would be to reintroduce the death penalty to people with certain crimes. And I would not be against that when it comes to some of these people. I will just come back. Those girls who were approached, or young women who were approached by Colin Pitchfork, allegedly in a park upon his release, they have a right to not be approached by a double rapist and murderer as they go about their lives. We all have a right to not be troubled by these vile individuals. Why on earth are we living in a country where these people can have any semblance of normality? Gary Glitter, of course, another one, obviously not a child killer as far as we're aware, was recalled to prison almost immediately because as soon as he got out, he was looking at things on the dark web, for goodness sake. There is a lot of evidence that certain people cannot be rehabilitated, and we are wasting our time with them.
Yeah, I think, Patrick, you raised some very important points, but perhaps there's this delineation we can make between the violent offenders that you've spoken about and non-violent offenders. Perhaps that's where we can reach some middle ground here. But thank you so much, Patrick Christys and Adz Khan, social entrepreneur, for joining us here for this spicy debate.